What book idea is right for you? Well, ain't that the question, right? What book idea is right for you? What book idea is right for you right now? What book idea is right for you based on your audience? This is what this episode is going to be about. So, if you've been trying to come up with an idea or you've been trying to narrow down which idea is best for you, then you're going to want to tune in because we're going to break it down for you. All right. Now, people ask me all of the time, at least once a week, somebody will ask me, Jake, what book idea is best for me? And my answer is it depends. All right, it depends, folks. There is a different idea for different times, different objectives, different things. And so I want to break down a few questions to ask yourself that might help you figure out what idea or start to narrow it down. And then I'm going to give you a bunch of further questions to help you clarify what idea is the right idea. So the first question you got to ask yourself when trying to decide what idea is the best for you is, well, what are your goals? All right. Do you want to be a bestseller? Do you want to be a lead? Do you want to be write your book to be a ton of lead generation? Do you want to become the authority? Do you want to use the book for speaking engagements? Do you want to use it for coaching, course creation? Do you want to use it just for networking? All right. What are your goals? Because if you want to do more speaking, your book should ideally be related to what you speak upon. The second question I want you to think about is, well, what idea, this goes further into what are your goals, what idea is most related to your end game desires? If you know what the outcome, reverse engineer it and start to think about this, okay? So if your end game is for lead gen so you can grow a coaching business, well, what book idea is most relevant to getting qualified leads of people that you would therefore like to coach? All right, so if you are, and let's just give a random example here, let's say you are a social media coach helping people on Instagram, okay? Your book, the idea, and let's say you have a couple ideas. One is you could write a book on Instagram. One is you can write kind of a book about just your story and everything. And one, you have an idea that is kind of unrelated, but something that you're passionate about. Well, if your end game desire is to get leads, then the idea that makes the most sense at this given moment is likely to be the idea that is establishing your expertise on the topic that you want to bring in leads for. So in this example, the topic idea that would make most sense for you is related to a book that showcases your authority and expertise around growing your social media through Instagram. And by doing that, you'll be seen as the authority. You'll be able to get people to opt in, and then you'll be able to nurture and guide those people to your coaching program. All right, next up that I want you to ask about is, well, what idea is best for you? Well, it depends. And here's another question, and that is, what idea do you like the most? Okay. Now, this is an interesting one because just because you like it the most doesn't mean it's still the best fit. You may have to pile up a couple of these questions to really help you determine which idea is best. But I believe from my experiences that it's much easier to write and complete a book that you are excited about than a book that you feel obligated to write. And I think that this is where this question comes into play here, is don't write a book that you hate writing, that you don't like talking about, just because you think you need to. Write a book that you're excited about, that you're proud of. And now one of the ways that I can help you here is, how do you navigate this, right? How do you make, if you want to write a book, but you aren't sure about the topic, how do you bridge that together to share your story with your expertise to create something that you know your audience would love and that you'd be really proud of committing the time, energy, and money to completing the book. All right. Let's keep on going here. And I'm going to give some examples here about my 4 books and why I chose which idea at that given moment in time. The next question, though, that I want you to think about is, which idea solves a problem? All right. Nonfiction books, as much as it's exciting for us to write them, these books are designed for the end reader. So which idea solves a real problem that somebody is struggling with? And if you can help somebody with your idea, then that is probably the right thing. Okay. Here's another thing that I want you to think about. I was just on LinkedIn the other day and it came up to me and someone was telling me, Jake, I don't know which idea to do. And I was kind of wondering, well, what do you want to help people with? What is your goal here? And they gave me a couple of ideas and I said, okay, great. Now, which one of these ideas excites you the most? And they're like, this one. And I said, okay, well, which idea is going to solve the greatest problem so that you could achieve your goal of helping people? And they go, this one. I said, okay, so you're excited about it and you know that it's going to help somebody. That's it. No need to overthink it. On top of that, I'm getting fired up. If you're listening to this, I'm literally jumping up and down right now. But on top of that, you got to dig deeper into this, okay? Because everybody, and I mean everybody, okay? There's that feeling inside of you that's saying, hey, I need to write this book. I need to write this book. I need to write this book. And you've resisted it, okay? If you're listening to this podcast, you've had an inkling that you're supposed to write a book. And more likely than not, there has been this gut pull. This feeling inside you that's saying, oh, I got to write this book. I got to write this book. I got to write this book. And you know that there's an idea that comes with that. And so I want you to just challenge yourself right now. As I'm asking these questions, I want you to say, what's that gut reaction telling you? What are you feeling you're really supposed to write this book on? And if you can tap into that and let yourself listen, then the idea is going to come to you, okay? And then the last couple questions that I want you to think about here when trying to decide which idea is right for you is, well, what does your audience need from you to either learn more about you or to believe that you are the answer to their problems? Is there a topic that your audience wants more of from you? Maybe you want to elaborate on something that you teach upon. Is there a new area of interest? You've already built a following, you already built an audience. They love you for a certain topic, but now you want to take it to the next level and further establish expertise at a higher tier. Okay, I wrote Elevate Beyond to start, which was career book. And then the second book was Elevate Your Network. I followed the audience as I grew, and people love series. People love to do this. And I won't go too deep into this, but from the business side, this is how you increase your average amount of lifetime value for your customers, which basically means that if you have one book, okay, or one thing, and your clients love you, and then you have another thing that's related, but not the same, they can now buy that, increasing the amount of money a person will spend with you, okay? There's an example that I heard somebody use, and they say, if Pepsi or Coke tried to get everybody to buy one Coke, that would be great, but that would be very hard to market for. Instead, they get people coming back and back and back. And so instead of buying one Coke, you have somebody buying one pack of Coke a day, every single day for 20 years. And that's how a $3 Coke becomes a $100,000 lifetime value of a customer. And so these are things that you want to start to think about when it comes to writing a book to grow your business. Now, I love giving examples of this because I want to show you how I do this in real life. And part of this is me connecting the dots, looking backwards. And part of this is being very intentional as I create my books. And so my first book, when I thought about this, is all I had was this gut feeling. I knew that I wanted to do something that would help people. But the truth was I didn't know a lot, right? I really didn't know a lot. So the only idea that really made sense was sharing what I already knew and sharing how I got my dream job in a book. And so that's how I ended up writing Elevate Beyond, which is a real world guide to standing out in the job market. Okay. All I knew was that I wanted to help people. And that was the only way I knew I could help people. Now, fast forward to book 2. Okay. I was doing a lot of speaking. I was traveling all over and I was like, what's my number one topic? What's the topic that's most relatable for a lot of my audiences? And it was networking. I touched on that in my first book, but then more and more people wanted that. I had a lot more experience, more knowledge around that. And so my second book was about networking. And what that did was that got everybody about the first one to get the second one. It increased my interest levels from people who wanted me to come speak. And it made me the networking expert, which was even more niche. And that allowed me to charge more and really expand, ultimately getting a 10-day speaking tour in China. Fast forward to book three. Pandemic had just hit, and I was really trying to grow my network. So my end game desire, as I was talking about earlier, my end game desire was about getting to expand my network. So I made a book that would allow me to interview other people, and that allowed me to connect with John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn, the governor of Nevada, Lori Harder, which then led to me, listen to this. I interviewed Lori Harder, and that led to me ending up meeting Chris Harder, and I'll meet Chris's mastermind for the second year, which allowed me to meet other people, which allowed me to bring in $100,000 in revenue. Are you kidding me? All because I took a chance with this book and I interviewed people. All right, so this is really what the power of this can be. The fourth book that I just wrote, Big Idea to Bestseller, and if you don't have a copy, get yourself a copy, all right? 99 cents on Amazon, or just message me and I'll give you a free one. All right, I'll give you a free one. You give me your email, I'll give you a free book. That easy. But I knew that I wanted to grow Big Idea to Bestseller, and the way to do that, I wanted to be the authority in this. Plus, if I'm coaching somebody about how to write a book to grow your business, I should probably have a book on how to write a book to grow your business. And so I was like, all right, well, let's do it. And that has directly related and brought in sales awareness, credibility, speaking opportunities. And we're still just a couple months from the initial launch. And now I'm going to be able to use this for years and years to come. So that's how I decided on a lot of these ideas in determining what book to write for myself. And so if you're really still trying to figure it out, okay? So now you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I'm starting to see which direction I want to go, but let me see if I can polish up my idea a little bit. Let me give you a couple questions to ask yourself. I'm going to rapid fire these, but I want you to ask yourself these questions and see if it could spark an idea, spark a calling, spark that feeling. Number one is, what is the offer that you already sell about? What is your coaching program? What is the course that you have? What is your keynote topic? Okay. That's a great topic, a great idea for your book. Second is, well, what questions are you already being asked? If people are already interested in it, teach them more. Next up is, what challenges do people face? If you could solve a problem, you're going to be able to have success with a book. What is your method to solving those problems? Do you have a method, a 5-step process, 7-step process? Do you have a 12-step process? Who cares how many steps it is, but do you have a process or a method that you teach people? If so, that's a book. What do you geek out on? What do people come to you for? What is your expertise? What do you already help people do? And one of the biggest questions is, what have you already transformed with? Some of the best books come after people experience the transformation, aka they do the work themselves, and then they teach upon what worked for them, sharing their story and their best practices. And that's how you build trust and authority within your book. All right. The key here, though, is there's no one right answer. Okay. At different points of your life, maybe a different idea is going to make more sense. Okay. But I want you to ask yourself these questions and listen to this episode and get freaking excited. All right. Because you have a book inside you. Now you have the direction to pick that idea, and now it's time to move forward. And so if you really like this episode, look, if you really like this episode, I'm doing a live event here in March in Marina Del Rey, California. And we're going to get more done on your book in 3 days than you have in the past 3 months, 3 years, or even 3 decades. And one of the core things that we're going to really focus is, we're going to dig super deep on your ideas so that you have an idea that you're incredibly confident about, so that it's the right time to have that idea as a book. We're going to validate it so that you have people ready to buy before the book is even done. And then we're going to show you how to outline this whole book. All right. That's just a sliver of what we're going to teach in this live event called Big Idea to Bestseller Live. So if you want to get a ton of help, and this is the easiest way to get into our inner circle and kind of get around me in live time. And if you want to do this, go to www.bigidea2bestseller.com/BIB-live. Okay. bigidea2bestseller.com/BIB-live. And you can get all the details there, and I'd love to see you. But let's make this the year your book dream becomes your reality. Well, that's what I got for you guys today. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.